it's a little bit difficult to make a movie about and know the people personally if they've been dead for a couple of hundred years. And the fact is that knowing Jean-Michel, knowing Andy, knowing and many of the people who are portrayed in the film are still alive. People like René Ricard, the poet, and Mary Boone, and Nina Nozay, and these are art dealers. And the fact is that the Warhol Museum gave me Andy Warhol's wig and his clothes for David to wear. Mary Boone gave Parker Posey, the actress, her clothes. And people have seen the representations of themselves. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, you're doing it.
And they've been like, it's very, very accurate. And I wanted to make a requiem for Jean-Michel and Andy. I mean, they were so attacked for their friendship, for the work that they did together. And I mean, I kind of see, and I think I just sort of wanted to set the record straight. I just felt like a tourist shouldn't make this film.
You could not use in the film his paintings because his father would not release them?
Yes, his father wouldn't let us use the images of the paintings.
So you painted?
So I and my assistant, Greg Bogan, and some scenic painters, we painted paintings in the style of Jean-Michel. I did the best I could with what I had. I hope that they're true to his spirit. And maybe if somebody sees the film, they would be curious enough to go to a museum or wherever where they could see one in real life, because and maybe it's sort of a educational film in that sense, or some kind of a public service film.
You collected, we'll talk more about him in just a second, an extraordinary group of actors. Gary Oldman's here. David Bowie's in this film. Christopher Walken's in this film. Dennis Hopper's in this film. Who else?
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe, certainly.
Benicio del Toro.
And they did it because of you and a friendship with you, or because of an admiration for the artist, or
Michael
some combination?
Well, first of all, there would be no movie without these people. I mean, these people worked for scale. They believed they cared about Jean-Michel's work. They believed in my work, and they gave me their time. I mean, they showed me that they believed it because they showed up. Also, musicians, recording artists like Tom Waits and Iggy Pop and Richard Butler from the Psychedelic Furs, and the people that represent Miles Davis Estate and Charlie Parker, Van Morrison. People gave me music for $5,000 for the master and $5,000 for the publishing. Unheard of. I mean, we never could have made this movie. This is a movie that is made about an artist by artists. Without Chris Walken and Dennis Hopper and their love of this subject and their support, it wouldn't happen. And we were able to make a totally independent film, but I never would have been able to do it without their enthusiasm. And
you want an audience watching this to come away with an appreciation for this artist, an understanding of the 80s and the art world of the 80s, or what?
Yeah, I'd like them to care about this man. I think that this is sort of not a new story in a sense, because Artaud wrote an essay years ago about Van Gogh, the artist suicided by society. And this is just a continuation of that. I mean, there's moments where there's a moment where Jean-Michel's painting in the basement of Anina's gallery. And at that moment, I think he has total success. It has nothing to do with other people agreeing with what he's done. He just has a space to work. He's listening to the music that that inspires him, people that he cared about, Charlie Parker, Max Roach, Melly Mel and Grandmaster Flash. I mean, there's but whatever, I don't want to get sidetracked. When he's alone painting down there, you see the creative process. And it's not with any storm and drang, or it's not a big deal. It's just what he does. Like we're sitting here talking, he's painting down there. What happens is Anina comes down. She wants to sell a painting. She has the best intentions. Collectors come down. They want to buy something. They have the best intentions. His friends come down there. They want to hang around with him. They have the best intentions. Rene Ricard comes down, and he's nurturing Jean-Michel in some way, and he cares about him. And Gary Oldman, who represents a character sort of based on my relationship with Jean, comes down there to see what the new kid on the block is doing. Everybody comes down with the best intentions, but what happens, the room fills up, and he has to leave. And somehow, unconsciously, I think society sort of is ushering artists into the next world because, blindly in a way. For example, when Jean-Michel looked up to Andy Warhol, he respected him. They were friends, but their relationship was suspect by everyone. They said, "Is Andy?" There's a scene where his girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend says, "People say that Andy's using you," and she doesn't mean to hurt Jean's feelings when she's saying that, but there's this kind of I don't know what the word is, but there's this sort of pressure from all of these people that don't know anything about the relationship and don't know what he's going through, and just this sort of interest in his work. It's as if he was Grenouille in perfume, where he created a scent about himself that was so delicious that he was devoured.
When did you first meet him?
In 1981.
In what circumstance?
Very much like in the film. Rene told me about his paintings. I'd seen him around before that.
So you went to his...
I went down to Anina's basement to see the paintings he was painting down there.
But you weren't that taken in the beginning.
It was obvious right away that he was talented.
Talented is one thing.
Yeah, and I think that he had something that he was doing. But, it's always this kind of, he was busy working on his stuff. I was busy working on my things. And, I don't know how available we can be at the right moment. And maybe, I think he deserved a lot of respect, and maybe he was demanding in a way, and maybe I couldn't give him that until he was dead in some way, and maybe I had to go through this in order to give him the due that I think that he deserved. Maybe, yeah.
Is part of this film about that idea, that somehow you want to give something that you didn't give during his lifetime?
Well, I don't know if it's just about me doing that, like it's about being guilty for something. I think it has more to do with, some people are not going to get to be 57 or 80. They're 20 years old. They're going to do whatever they're going to do at that time, and they're in the present, and I think we have to be in the present. And so if by seeing this film, somebody could sort of treat a young artist differently, or think about things, or somebody that is a young artist or that's doing something could sort of not think that they have to kind of become something else, and they could just be in the present, then maybe it's part of its function.
What did he think of you, and how did he view you? A preeminent artist of the 80s.
I think that we had a very healthy relationship. I think that he came and he looked at my paintings a lot of the time. I used to go to his studio, and he gave me a beautiful drawing one day. I was painting on something, and he was at my studio. We'd been shopping or whatever, and there's actually a caviar scene that takes place between Andy and Jean-Michel, but I was actually the guy who was with him buying the caviar. We went back to the house, and it was 1985, I guess. I was working on a painting called The Walk Home, and he made this beautiful drawing, and he gave it to me. And I had to go do something else, and when I came back, I said to my daughter, "Where's Jean?" And she said, "Well, he left." And I opened the door, and he was peeing in the hallway. So, he gave me this beautiful drawing, but at the same time, I think he was sort of claiming back his territory in a way. It wasn't a big deal, but I think we had a complicated relationship, and but people would do interviews with Jean, and they say, well, they're talking about your personal life. They call you the enfant terrible of the art world or whatever, and they don't usually talk about other artists' personal lives. And so, they talk about Julian's life, or they don't ask Julian, like, why he put that in there. So, I don't know. I guess I was a little